This is the Possible Care for Dogs. The podcast begins.
Welcome to a new episode of the Pawsible Care for Dogs podcast.
Great to be here.
Today we're exploring further into a specific guide someone sent us, titled Dachshund Health, Essential Best Practices for a Long, Active, and Wiggly Life by Jude.
Yes, a really focused look at dachshunds. Fascinating breed.
Absolutely. So we're diving deep into the health practices Jude outlines for these, well, iconic dogs.
You know them instantly, don't you? That long body, those short legs.
Exactly. And the guide mentions their personality too. Courageous, smart, full of sass.
Definitely full of sass. But that unique shape, it needs special attention.
Right. So our mission today, based on Jude's insights, is to pull out those essential must-know tips to help your dachshund stay healthy, happy, and, well, wiggly.
And the source really starts with the most obvious challenge, doesn't it? The back.
It jumps right in there. It's probably what most people think of first with dachshund health vulnerabilities.
It is. That long spine is statistically their weak spot. Jude's guide makes that very clear.
So why is that? What's the specific issue?
It makes them really prone to intervertebral disc disease, or IVDD. Basically, the discs between the vertebrae can bulge or rupture.
Ouch. And that presses on the spinal cord.
Exactly. It can cause anything from severe pain to nerve damage, weakness, even paralysis, and often it means needing complex surgery.
Which isn't always successful, right?
Right. There are no guarantees. It's a serious, serious condition.
Okay, so prevention is key.
Right.
What does the source say are the absolute best practices for trying to avoid IVDD?
Number one, avoiding high-impact stuff. Stairs are a big one. Jumping off furniture, definitely avoid that.
Ramps are the way to go.
Strongly recommended, yes. Not just a nice extra. And crucially, keeping them lean. Extra weight puts huge pressure on that spine.
Okay, maintaining a lean weight makes sense. What else? How do you know if there's a problem?
You need to learn the signs of back pain. The guide mentions things like a hunched look, not wanting to move, maybe crying out when you touch them or they try to get up.
Subtle signs sometimes.
Well, they can be. But, and this is vital, if you see any dragging limbs, sudden weakness the source stresses, that's an immediate vet emergency. Don't wait.
That urgency is really hammered home.
And the stats Jude included really drive it home too. That study mentioned, over 20% of dachshunds get IVDD.
Wow, 1 in 5.
More than 1 in 5. And the risk goes up as they get older. It's a very real possibility for owners.
That really underscores why this preventative stuff is so important. And you mentioned weight again. The guide is clear the little frames aren't built for extra pounds.
Not at all. Obesity makes the back problems worse, stresses their joints, affects breathing. It's a whole cascade of issues.
So how do we manage their weight effectively, according to Jude?
Controlled portions are fundamental. But the guide says, don't just guess. Ask your vet for the ideal calorie intake for your specific dog. Age, activity level, all that matters.
Right. And treats. We all love giving treats.
Think quality over quantity. Lean protein, maybe small bits of dog-safe veggies, are much better than high-carb or sugary snacks.
And keep track.
Yes, weigh them monthly. Keep a log. Even a pound is a lot on a small dachshund, so catching gains early makes it easier to manage.
And there was another study mentioned.
Yeah, Frontiers in Veterinary Science. It found obese dachshunds were much more likely to have musculoskeletal issues like IVDD, but also endocrine problems. It's all linked.
Okay, so back and weight are huge.
Yeah.
But Jude's guide covers more, right? Head to paw.
Definitely. Let's talk teeth. Dental health. Often overlooked.
Is it a big issue for dachshunds specifically?
It is for most small breeds, and dachshunds are right up there. They're very high risk for periodontal disease.
Which is more than just bad breath.
Oh, much more. It's infection, inflammation, it's painful, leads to tooth loss, and bacteria can even get into the bloodstream and affect organs like the heart.
Serious stuff. So what's the routine the source recommends?
Daily brushing. That's the gold standard. You need dog-safe toothpaste and a brush. Consistency is key.
What about dental chews or water additives?
The source says they can help, they can be supportive, but they absolutely do not replace brushing. And annual professional cleanings by the vet are essential.
Good to know. Daily brushing it is.
And starting early is crucial. The American Veterinary Dental College says most dogs show signs by age 3, and dachshunds are highlighted as being among the most affected small breeds.
Wow, age 3. Okay, moving down from the mouth.
Yeah.
Joints, besides the spine.
Yes, the kneecap. patellar luxation.
Ah, where the kneecap pops out.
Exactly. It slips out of its groove. You might see the dog suddenly skip a step or hold a leg up for a moment. It causes pain and eventually arthritis.
And what helps with that, according to the guide?
Good muscle tone is important, so appropriate low-impact exercise helps support the joint. And again, watching for signs, that little hop or skip, any limping.
Can it be managed without surgery?
Often, yes, especially if caught early. The source notes that managing it with weight control, the right exercise, maybe supplements, can often prevent needing surgery later. That's encouraging.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk fuel. What does Jude's guide say about feeding these little dynamos?
It recommends a high-quality diet made for small, active breeds. So moderate protein and fat levels to match their energy needs without causing weight gain.
Are there specific ingredients to look for?
Yes, formulas with glucosamine and chondroitin get a mention for joint support, very relevant for them. Also, avoiding foods with lots of artificial fillers or sugar.
Any supplements recommended?
Omega-3 fatty acids are suggested for their anti-inflammatory benefits. And a practical tip, slow feeder bowls.
Stop them gulping.
Exactly. Helps prevent tummy upset and potentially reduces the risk of bloat, though that's rarer in small breeds.
And there was another study linking diet and IVDD.
Yes, the veterinary sciences one. It found calorie restriction, just feeding the right amount to stay lean, significantly cut IVDD risk and improved overall lifespan and quality of life in dachshunds.
That's huge. Weight management really is central.
It really is.
Okay, what about the outside? Grooming. They different coats, right?
They do. 3 types: smooth, long-haired, and wire-haired. And the source outlines different routines.
So what's needed for each?
Smooth coats are easiest, just a weekly brush, maybe a wipe with a damp cloth. Long-haired need daily brushing to stop mats forming, which can be really painful.
And wire-haired?
They need brushing a few times a week, and usually seasonal hand stripping to keep that coarse texture.
Is grooming just about the coat?
No, the guide flags other things too. Weekly ear cleaning is important to prevent infections. Nail trims every 2-3 weeks. Long nails can mess up their gait and posture.
Ah, I wouldn't have thought of that connection.
Yeah, and because they're so low slung, check their paws regularly for little stones or debris they might pick up.
It's a point. Okay, exercise and keeping their minds busy. Jude's guide says they're hunters at heart.
That's right. They need physical exercise. Of course, the source suggests maybe 20-30-minute walks daily as a baseline.
But they need more than just walks.
Absolutely. Their brains need a workout too. Jude suggests things like fetch or scent games inside, puzzle toys, food dispensing toys, great for mental stimulation.
Making them work for it a bit.
Exactly. It lets them use those natural instincts. Training is mentioned too, short, positive sessions. They're smart.
But stubborn.
But can be famously stubborn, yes. So positive reinforcement is the way to go.
And there was a behavior study mentioned.
Applied animal behavior science found that scent-driven dogs, like dachshunds, actually have better mental health if they get regular chances to do foraging or tracking type activities. It meets a core need.
Fascinating. It's about their whole well-being. Hey, just pausing here for a second. If you're finding these insights helpful for your own pup, or maybe you're just fascinated by these little guys, this would be a great moment for you to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you this kind of deep dive.
Good point. Okay, where were we? Ah, the vet.
Right. The source emphasizes partnering with your vet. Preventive care.
Absolutely critical. The guide recommends annual checkups and specifically asking the vet to focus on the spine, teeth, and joints during those visits.
Anything else specific?
It suggests considering starting back x-rays around age 5, maybe even sooner if you see any signs. Also, asking about things like preventative laser therapy for spinal inflammation. Jude mentions it as an option to discuss.
And insurance.
Yes, a very practical point the guide makes. Given the high chance of back issues and the potential cost of surgery, looking into pet insurance early, before problems arise, is really wise.
That could save a lot of heartache and financial stress down the line.
Definitely.
Okay, lastly, Jude's guide touches on something maybe less tangible but just as important. Their emotional side. They form really strong bonds, don't they?
Incredibly strong. The source describes them as fiercely loyal, often bonding especially closely with one person.
Does that intense bond come with specific needs?
It does. They can be prone to separation anxiety if left alone too much. And because they're sensitive, the guide is clear. Positive training methods are essential. Harshness really makes them shut down.
So structure, love.
Exactly. Structure, consistency, being part of the family, Lots of positive interaction. That's what helps them thrive emotionally.
And that temperament study you mentioned earlier.
From the University of Helsinki, yeah. It found dachshunds showed higher than average attachment and were really sensitive to their owner's mood.
Wow, they really pick up on our feelings.
They do. It just reinforces how important calm, consistent, loving handling is for them.
So, bringing this all together, pulling back from all the details in Jude's guide, what's the core message for someone listening with a dachshund?
I think it's that owning one is amazing, but it comes with specific duties tied to their unique body and their sensitive nature. You have to be proactive.
Tailored care isn't optional. It's essential.
Precisely. Understanding these areas, the back, the weight, the teeth, joints, nutrition, grooming, exercise, mental stimulation, vet care, that's the roadmap Jude lays out.
And following that roadmap leads to
A longer, happier, healthier, and yes, wigglier life for your dog. It connects the physical care with nurturing that really special emotional bond they offer.
it all ties together.
It really does.
Okay, before we wrap up, do you have a final thought based on the source material? Something for us to chew on.
Well, thinking about that study on their sensitivity, how attuned they are to our moods, it makes me wonder, how much could consciously managing our own stress and emotions actually contribute to their well-being? Not just the bond, but maybe even their physical resilience. It's an interesting angle to consider, isn't it?
That is a fascinating thought. Definitely something to reflect on. Well, we hope this deep dive into Jude's guide has been helpful. We'd love to hear from you. Give your comments with your thoughts, questions, suggestions, and experiences about it below.
Yeah, share what works for your dachshunds.
All right, have a beautiful day. Take care of your lovely doggies, and we see you on the next one.
Take care.